The X-15 is a strong contender for the title of everyone's favorite X-plane. Conceived in the 1952 to 1954 period, before Sputnik and the birth of NASA, the North American Aviation Bureau rocket plane was intended to pioneer the technologies and techniques of hypersonic flight. That is, fly faster than Mach 4. Indeed, the X-15 design was so much like that of a space vehicle, with a long and slender aircraft featuring a pointed-nose cone. It was a missile-shaped vehicle with an unusual wedge-shaped vertical tail, thin stubby wings, and unique side fairings that extended along the side of the fuselage. The initial 24-power flights used two reaction motors, XLR-11 liquid propellant rocket engines, enhanced to provide a total of 16,000 pounds of thrust, as compared to the 6,000 pounds that a single XLR-11 provided in 1947 to make the Bell X-1 the first aircraft to fly faster than the speed of sound. The XLR-11 used ether alcohol and liquid oxygen. Due to the intense heat generated at high speed, high altitude flying, the X-15's body construction consisted of a nickel chrome alloy covering known as Inconel X. By November 1960, Reaction Motors was able to deliver the XLR-99 rocket engine, generating 57,000 pounds of thrust. The remaining 175 flights of the X-15 used XLR-99 engines in a single engine configuration. The XLR-99 used anhydrous ammonia and liquid oxygen as propellant, and hydrogen peroxide to drive the high-speed turbopump that delivered propellants to the engine. It could burn 15,000 pounds of propellant in 80 seconds. Because of the large fuel consumption of its rocket engine, the X-15 was air-launched from a B-52 aircraft at about 45,000 feet and speeds upwards of 500 miles per hour. Depending on the mission, the rocket engine provided thrust for the first 80 to 120 seconds of flight. The remainder of the normal 8 to 12 minutes flight was without power and ended in the 200 miles per hour glide landing. Because the nose landing gear lacked steering and the main landing gear employed skids, the X-15 had to land on a dry lake bed. The Rogers dry lake, adjacent to Edwards and Dryden, was the intended landing location for all flights, but there were numerous emergency lake beds selected in advance for emergency landings. For altitude missions, the X-15 climbed steeply until it exhausted its propellants, then arced upward, unpowered. X-15 reached its peak altitude, 354,200 feet above the Earth's surface, on August 22, 1963, with NASA pilot Joseph Walker in the cockpit. During altitude missions, the pilot would experience several minutes of weightlessness as the X-15 climbed toward the high point of its trajectory, above 99% of the atmosphere, then fell back toward Earth. Aerodynamic control surfaces, such as flaps, could not work while the X-15 soared above most of the atmosphere, so it included hydrogen peroxide fuel altitude control thrusters, so that the pilot could orient it for reentry. For flight in the dense air of the usable atmosphere, the X-15 used conventional aerodynamic controls, but to maneuver in the thin air outside of the appreciable Earth atmosphere, where flight control surfaces were useless. The X-15 used a reaction control system made of hydrogen peroxide thrust rockets. Those located on the nose of the aircraft provided pitch and yaw control. Those on the wings provided roll control. A similar system was used on the Space Shuttle orbiter. Decades later, indeed, experience and data gathered from the X-15 program contributed to the development of the Mercury, Gemini, Apollo, and Space Shuttle manned spaceflight programs. The X-15 spearheaded research in a variety of areas: hypersonic aerodynamics, wing reentry from space, light support systems for spacecraft, aerodynamic heating and heat transfer research, and earth sciences experiments. A total of 700 technical documents were produced, equivalent to the output of a typical 4,000-man federal research center for more than 2 years. The X-15 is the fastest aircraft ever made. After initial test flights in 1959, X-15s became the first aircraft to reach Mach 4, 5, and 6, and to operate well above 30,500 meters. On October 3, 1967, pilot William J. Pitt flew the X-15 on its fastest flight, reaching 7,273 km per hour. Among the 12 pilots who flew the X-15 were future Apollo 11 commander Neil Armstrong and Space Shuttle astronaut Joe Engle. According to NASA, the X-15 was one of the first to make flights out of the Earth's atmosphere. X-15 speed to Mach 6, equivalent to 7,200 km per hour, ceiling of 107,600 meters. Neil Armstrong, the first American, worked on the moon, but failed to enter space with this plane during his 7 flights. One of those who has attained the level of astronaut in NASA's history of using X-15 aircraft is Major Michael Adams, who was honored by the United States right after being killed in an accident of X-15A on November 15, 1967. My video of North American X-15 answer. Thank you for watching. If you find this video interesting, please give me your thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to support the channel. Goodbye and see you again in the next videos.